All right. Last year I was contacted by Font Chapin at Fahrenheit 212 about doing a custom font for a project they were doing. This is a very special credit card where the recipient, the customer, gets a monogram personalized for them. This was the sketch that they originally gave me, where they had mapped out the basic alphabet, and the challenge for me was to design all of the monograms, the ligatures, for 2- and 3-letter combinations. So these were their tests at the bottom for what those might look like. One interesting detail is the capital I, which is 3 lines. The history of the monogram, it goes back to ancient Greece. The upper right, that's the phi rho mark. Then Albrecht Dürer's signature, a range of monograms. Eat the mic. Sorry. Unfortunately, today, this is what most monograms look like. It's the kind of thing you get on the corner of your shirt. Or then there's like the Louis Vuitton print. I actually really like the Kate Spade one in the middle there. That's a K and an S. Then there's like the Michael Kors thing. There are existing typefaces for monograms, but they're really they're not unlike any other typeface, where you're just setting the text, that the letters are next to each other is really incidental. They're not drawn to optimize as a singular mark. So what we did was to create marks individual to each one. We looked at avant-garde, especially the 45-degree angles were really helpful in locking things together. I think it's interesting in this example, none of the alternates were used on that letter set sheet. So one of the first things that was important was to figure out what the system was, the consistency of the spaces between the verticals, then what are the spaces between the diagonals, how do those things lock up together, and then using contextual alternates to optimize the shape of how these things combined, especially doing a round that had no overshoot so that it locked up perfectly with a straight character like the E. These are all of the different alternates that I did, and some of the contextual alternate code for, as I kerned it using metrics machine, figured out, the E needs to always lock up with the Q in this way. We figured out that the number of monograms would actually be very large. 26 cubed is 17,576 combinations. 26 squared is 676. Adds up to over 18,000 combinations. To make things a little bit simpler, we settled on the solution that there would only be one mark for any given number of 3-letter combinations. So if there's two duplicate letters and one unique one, you have 3 combinations for 6. There's 6 combinations for any combination of 3 unique letters. In the proofing process, I had to generate text that had all 18,000 combinations of letters, and then using InDesign, I went through using color coding system, chose what I thought was the closest to the best solution, and then using find and replace, then whatever. It was a long process. This is what we ended up with, just a sample of the marks. I think it works fairly well, with varying degrees of success, that the letters are right on top of each other, so if your initials are KLM or LKM, you'd be reasonably happy that that's your mark. This was one of the last things I got from Fahrenheit before the project was canceled. So you can't really see, but this is the difference between embossed and debossed, these different patterns. It would have been really cool. It's like blue leather. So, in the end, I was left with this font with 4,000 monograms and no credit cards to put it on. But there will be a second life for it. Actually, Jesse Reagan, up next, recommended to me that I show it to House Industries for use with the photo lettering system. So one of the first things that I had to do was to fill out the character set, doing some accented characters, numbers, basic punctuation. But House had the great idea to really focus on the triplicate letters, that existed. If your initials were AAA, you would have letters like this. So I did that for all of the characters. It was necessary to redraw some things like the asterisk. I took a couple of the pieces out. The at and the copyright, there's only one A. All of the accents, the accent itself only happens once. And then wouldn't it be really cool if each of those, of the three, were separated? They could be different colors with the photo lettering system. You can also control the alpha channel, create a multiply effect. For about a minute, I considered doing that for all of the monograms. But as you'll see in the next slide, I did lots of little cheats to optimize the drawing. On the right-hand side, that doesn't look so good when you actually layer all of those together. So, over 66 hours, if I even spent a minute on each one, was not a good use of time. I don't know if anyone will use the monograms. But it will be released through photo lettering. This is my little comp of what it will hopefully look like. If you're not familiar with it, it's a great system because you can set the color for each of the layers. You can turn features on and off. I feel like I'm selling it to you now, but you add it to your cart, download a PDF. Anyways, my hope really is that it will, in a second life, people will do something that surprises me with it, use it in unique ways, and maybe the monograms will get used. Maybe they won't, but hopefully it'll be fun. Thanks.